All right, so I just got done working out. It must be something about coming home from the gym that I'm just fired up. I'm listening to things while I'm at the gym. So actually, the gym is my university. Like in the car, it's a rolling university. I could be listening to things that are going to uplift me, things that are going to educate me, things that are going to help me gain greater knowledge, internalize things, and then make them a part of my value system when I see how they fit, right? In a way that I didn't see how they fit before. Well, that happens at the gym a lot for me. Like a lot of times I'll take notes on my phone in the middle of my workout because I'm listening to something that I'm really internalizing in that kind of meditative state. So I just jumped right in here. I ran in here actually, and I was working on this last night, but some things really clicked with it all as I was coming home this morning. So I just jumped straight in here. I'm going to get into this. This is pretty messy. Like there's a lot of stuff on here. There's 5 different points that I want to cover, but this is really an overview of the leadership and kind of, again, just an overview of everything we talked about so far in all the leadership modules. So let's just jump right into this. The first thing about leadership and taking on that role of, yes, I'm going to hold my hand up and I'm a leader. I'm an associate in Isogenics. I'm going to take responsibility for other people's success. So we need to celebrate that. Now, we're going to be celebrating maybe some pain, maybe some challenges, maybe some wall-kicking moments, but we want to celebrate those. And the reason why, let me jump to this over here. So if you look at your personal development, and let's say that you could rate your personal development on a scale of 1 to 10, and 10 being the highest, like you now know it all, you're omnipotent, right? We're never going to reach that place in this life. So, but we want to be working towards that end. And the challenge is most people don't. Because most people don't want to go into reading a book and looking for the things that they need to improve. Like we talked about this before, what's wrong with me? How can I move forward and discover the error that's in me? We don't want to be told about what erroneous things we're doing. We want to be told about how great we are, right? That's what makes us feel good. But if you can understand personal development, that not feeling good is a reason to celebrate. You should feel good about not feeling good because it means you're going to move forward in your personal development, which is so key to everything you're wanting in your life. So let's say I'm at a level 3 on my personal development. My ability to handle the challenges that come my way in life as I'm going for my goals, whether it's in my Isogenics business or just in general, any kind of goal where you're not satisfied with where you're at and you want something more. That's an innate desire in all of us on purpose to get us to go to that direction. So if I'm at a level 3 on my personal development, then my ability to move my Isogenics business forward is going to be a 3. So it doesn't matter what income producing activities I do, whatever level I'm at here is going to also determine the level that I'm at with my leadership ability in each of the categories, whether it's title, relationships, production, people development, and the pinnacle. If I'm here, all I'm going to do is move forward to those different areas to a 3, which really falls short from where I want to be with my goals. But a 10 means I've accomplished the goal and I'm now living it. I'm experiencing it in my life. I'm living in the new home. I'm driving that new car. I'm going on that particular vacation that I want to take my family on. I'm able to live my life on a minute-by-minute, hour-by-hour basis throughout the day, doing the things that I want to be doing at those specific times, not doing what other people are dictating me to do. So that's a 10. Living your life, doing what you want, when you want, for as long as you want, and being able to enjoy it to the greatest abundance and experience. All right, so, and God and everything in the entire universe is conspiring for you to get there, right? So, as I start to gain an understanding of these principles, first I get introduced to the principles, and I'm giving you right now the principle of personal development, the principle of progress, the principle of expansion, the principle of abundance, the principle of making a bigger impact in your life and in other people's lives simultaneously. This is that principle. So you're being introduced to it. And you start to internalize it, and you start to see, like what I'm going to explain right now, you start to see, how does that relate to me? How can I start to implement what I'm learning about this principle of progress? How can I start to do activities and actions during the day that I'm going to start to apply so that I start to move my personal development to a 4, and then a 5, and then a 6? Because if I'm at a 3 and I come up against a level 5 problem, my ability to handle that level 5 problem I'm not there. I can't handle it. It's going to keep beating me up. It's going to keep causing me to get discouraged. It's going to cause me to start to think a certain way, which is going to cause me to start breaking laws. It's going to start causing me to break the principles of success. So I need to learn what those principles are so I can get to a 6, and then my business will start to move to a 6 because I can now handle that level 5 problem. It's not even an issue anymore. I behave and respond and act like a level 6. So the level 5 problems don't hold me back anymore. I'm able to, because of the principles I understand, with my behavior and the way I respond, both mentally and physically, my attitude, my feelings, the images that I hold in my mind, which ones are influencing me, they're not the same anymore. The same negative images and feelings that used to cause you to have a certain behavior don't cause you to have that certain behavior anymore, because you learn the principles on how to override those feelings and those behaviors and those actions because of what's going on in your head. So really, it's all about spiritual personal development, your personal philosophy, the way you organize thoughts and things in your head cause you to act and behave a certain way when certain things are projected at you. So because I've learned and internalized, and I've now made all of these principles all the way up to a 6, I've internalized them and made a part of my value system. I now self-govern myself. So when I go down the elevator, like Wayne Dyer says, I don't complain about the weather anymore. I don't complain about the boss. I don't complain about these things because the way I understand the principles have now dictated to me my value system and my behavior, that I don't behave like a level 3 person anymore. I behave like a level 6. So you're not going to hear me complain because I know what that's going to cause and how that's going to affect my behavior, my feelings, and everything else, which is going to have a direct correlation on my goals. So when you decide, yeah, I want to take on this leadership role, I want to build an isogenics business that's going to be successful, what you're saying is I'm going to work on improving myself. I'm going to find the erroneous things that are within me through understanding the principles, and then I have to internalize and I have to decide, how am I going to implement that? And am I going to implement it? Am I going to start working on overcoming the habits that this philosophy created in my physical world? Instead of sleeping in on Saturday, am I going to get up earlier? And am I going to read? Am I going to do my visualization? And when we, doing this right here, making the decision to take on this, well, let me go back to this. This is something that I had a really cool experience with on the way home this morning. Whoops, I'm grabbing the wrong ones. Okay, so if I go back to this right here, I'm going to celebrate the fact that I'm going to move my life forward by improving myself, my personal development. And I'm not just going to learn those things. I'm going to take on everything that I have to muster up to make this, I'm going to call it a quantum leap. So when we look at the world around us and the interactions that we have with people, a lot of times we do that in an erroneous way. We look at people and we compare ourselves. I'm not as good as that person. I can never be like that person. Oh, I'm for sure never going to be like that person, right? So we look at people in a judgmental way. But what we should be appreciating is the diversity that's happening out there in the world with everybody and everything around us. Because what it does is it stirs up our asking. Okay, it's going to, okay. Here we go. Let me grab a color. I'm going to use red because we're going to check these things off as we go through them. It's going to stir up my asking. It's going to show me the different contrasts between what other people are experiencing, and I'm going to make a decision. I like that. I don't really so much like that one, but I do like this one. And this I would like to have it be a part of my life. All of the different diversities and the, Whitso call them, the complexities of the universe. Each one of us adds to the complexity, which gives other people contrast to decide and stir up their asking by making the distinctions between the different contrasts of the things that they would appreciate having in their lives versus the things they wouldn't appreciate having in their lives. So as we look, rather than being judgmental on ourselves or on others, let that be a guide to us to realize the things that we want to pursue in our lives, the things that we would like to enjoy in our lives, okay? So that's, and once we do that, a lot of people are looking for other people to help them find their solutions. They want to resonate with other people. They want to have agreements from other people. They want to have other people give them permission. And there are few exceptions where there are going to be individuals that will help you to actually move your life forward into this quantum leap, where the quantum, so few exceptions, there's going to be very few people. So don't go around looking for permission from people to be successful in your isogenics business. There are going to be very few people in your life that are going to give you all of the knowledge and the support and the encouragement that you need. Now, what's cool about isogenics is there is an environment within isogenics, a culture that wants to help each other succeed, right? But still, there's going to be few exceptions on those that are actually going to help you to be able to succeed. So don't go around looking for confirmation and the support from people. You're looking around for the enjoyment, the pleasure, what do I love, what do I not love, and to stir up my asking to help me to become very specific. Not in a broad, general way, I want to change the world, but very specific. I'd like to have this in my life, because what that means is specific, specific, specific. Detail, detail, detail. Right? And people don't do this. This is a principle of progress. So you want to identify so you can get to the specifics of what it is you want in your life. Now, as you start to make those different selections, and a lot of times we can figure out what those are by figuring out what we don't like. We can write down on a piece of paper all the things that I don't like, and then we can start to opposite that on the other side of the page and figure out what we do like, so we can see it within our own mind, we can see it within our world around us. Now, what I want to do is I want to make a quantum leap. I was listening to an audio this morning, and the person was saying, yeah, somebody had a near-death experience, and they came back a changed person because they kind of had this quantum leap. It changed them so dramatically because of their new perspective. And so a quantum leap is something that in the past has been something that is a rare exception. Most people will go through their lives without a quantum leap. What we want to do is we want to foster and facilitate these quantum leaps. So this graph that I've come up with right here, if you're at a 3 in your goals and you get to a 6, 7, 8, 9, and a 10, that's a quantum leap if that's a big dream, a big goal. Living your life the way you want, when you want, for as long as you want, and enjoying that in abundance, no lack of anything, that's a huge quantum leap. So in the beginning, for me, that quantum leap was dinner and a movie, taking my kids out to a restaurant, putting new tires on the car, getting a new car, getting a new home, the home that we want to live in. Those were the things that were the quantum leaps for me, right? And so what had to happen is I had to change my perspective, my philosophy, like the person who died and took on a whole new perspective of themselves and how they relate to the world. In a much bigger picture, it changes your vibration. It changes the concept of yourself. So if you were to die, let's put it this way. You don't have to die to have a quantum leap, but let's put it this way. If you were to die and you were at a 3, when you have this bigger overall view of eternity and you come back, you're not a 3 anymore. You have had a quantum leap. You're not the same person. The concept of yourself and the world around you has completely changed. Now, we don't have to die to have a quantum leap, but I'm drawing the contrast here. We can create a new concept of ourselves, and this is where we want to dream big. We want to really go for it, right? And so when you start to script out and you make your 3x5, with all of the bullet points of the new concept of yourself, make it a quantum leap. And then we use the law of assumption. So the next point on that after the quantum leap was we have to use the law of assumption. That is an action, right? And so through that action and that behavior of focusing on myself as this new person, let's say at a level 6, I'm visualizing here, I'm visualizing myself here while I'm still here at a level 3. And what happens is all the principles and all the people and all the internalization that needs to happen when I do the law of assumption correctly. When I stay here and I don't keep coming back here, every needful thing always shows up. I did a Facebook post about that. Every needful thing always shows up. And so it's a matter of me having the courage to step into it and start doing those actions where my habits weren't in line with those actions. It's going to feel uncomfortable. So it's not that you don't want that thing, it's just habitually you're not used to the feeling and everything and the dynamics that go along with those new actions. So you just have to have the courage and step into it. And I'm telling you, when you do, you might not do it right the first time, but there's going to be people in this culture that are going to celebrate you for attempting and trying. And they're going to want to see you win. You're the underdog they want to see win. You just have to go to the right place in your mind because you understand the principles, and that as you continue to practice, you will perfect that thing and you will step into that and you will become that. But it always has to happen here first. The moment you go back to here and here, when you're trying to change the concept of yourself, you won't make the quantum leap. Does that make sense? So that's why you got to guard your focus with your life. That's why your 3x5 cards have to become a tool that you carry with you in your pocket, that's around you all the time, so you don't go back to these places that your physical environment's trying to get you to go to and then bring you back there mentally. That would be a mistake, to go from the quantum leap in your mind back to where you were. And it's the environment, when you're here mentally, it's your physical environment that's going to want to pull you back here mentally. And so that's the challenge, but that's also the reward. When you can keep your mind here, get into the actions that you know you can do that are going to be moving you here, and all the right things start showing up to help you to move that direction. Okay, that's a quantum leap. And again, once we decide with specifics what that looks like, we write it down on a 3x5 card. That has to be the process, you guys. You have to use that particular trigger and that tool, the 3x5 cards, to change the concept of yourself. Change the concept of yourself through the law of assumption. And again, it's going to be through specifics. Now, let's move on to point number 2. So we want to celebrate that, you guys. You're going to become something more. And that's the greatest joy, is when you're feeling progress that's happening in your own personal development. When you're making progress, and simultaneously you'll be making progress in the world too with the people around you. And in isogenics, that can be a ripple effect that literally brings heaven to earth. All right, so now, with the level 1, I just want to do, again, an overview. We have title, relationship, production. Those are the 3 levels that we're going to really focus on. I kind of changed this up a little bit from how it was in the previous modules, just as things are evolving and becoming more clear, and being able to actually implement them a little bit better into our actions. So level 2 is, we know that we want to stair step up. We want to progress. So as we do these quantum leaps with our personal development and deciding very specifically what those goals are, and then we write them in as an already accomplished fact, it's already done, then we want to use this here to, and isogenics. See, I have the personal development, which is the different levels of leadership, but I also have the cycles and the income that's going to come in. We want our actions to compound each other, so that I'm not doing an action over here that doesn't relate to my isogenics business. We want each action to be efficient and compound on the last. This is so important to creating momentum and the bigger impact in your life. And look, as you do this with isogenics, it's going to impact every area of your personal life. I've said that about isogenics since like the very beginning, as my life started to change. Isogenics raised up every area of my life, so I don't have to make all of these 3x5 cards around all of these different unrelated areas in my life. Because as we do this and as we become a greater leader, we're going to become a better husband, a better mom, a better parent, a better spouse, a better citizen, a better customer, a better whatever, right? Entrepreneur. So all of these areas will be impacted, but we want to compound so that we expand the whole rather than just individual little things that never really amount to a whole lot. So level 1, so now we're going to go to, so you can see here how our personal development, we're going to use isogenics and the compensation that we're making as the barometer. Am I really moving forward? Or am I falling into deception? Am I, becoming a rut dweller? Am I not overcoming my habits? Am I not doing the work that needs to be done? Am I a pretender? Do I show up and I'm just the best cheerleader, but I'm really not moving anybody or myself forward, but it looks like I am because I'm so happy all the time? That's a pretender, right? So there's no fooling ourselves when it comes to the barometer that we can use with Isogenics. It's synonymous with your personal development. In Isogenics, the amount of income you make is going to be the same as you progressing in your leadership ability or your personal development. Same thing, right? So level 1 title, we've talked about how we bought that position for $29. It is a position of leadership because you're an associate and you can enroll somebody. You have the power to enroll somebody. And am I going to take responsibility for that person? So I want to, with my leadership ability, let's take level 1 title as my, on the scale of 1 to 5 within this leadership level, I want to get to a 5 because down at level 1, I don't have great leadership ability. I'm convincing people. I'm twisting their arms. I'm manipulating people. I'm just not a great leader. And in the business world, I could get away with that if I'm the manager because people are going to get paid and they just have to put up with it. Otherwise, they're going to be fired. And then they're going to lose their home and they're going to starve and their family is going to be thrown out on the street, right? So you can get away with convincing in the corporate world where people may hate you, but they still show up for work. Not going to work in network marketing because nobody has to do anything. So we want to increase our leadership skills to where we're inspiring people. And I'm talking about an incredible amount of inspiration. Like we are really inspiring people to step into that, to change the concept of themselves, to see how it fits, and not to just step into it, but to be excited about stepping into it. There's a whole gradient level. So you're somewhere on that scale and we can always be better. In fact, there should be an infinity sign on the end of the 5 because we can always improve our ability to inspire others. Okay? Now, what you see over here is self, others, and self, others. So in the lower level of the scale, as we move up, I would say in each one of these categories is we start putting others before ourselves. So the higher we go up, it goes from, well, I want this, what's in it for me, to how can I bless somebody else's life? And the further we move up, the bigger the sacrifices we're able to make for somebody else. So let's say like with sip and samples. You're going to hold a sip and sample and you're just going for it. You're making sure the house is perfect. You're going out of your way. You're taking the time. You're putting other things off. And so everybody has to come to your house and you're just going to have this attitude that they got to come here. And I'm going to make my point that'll come around full circle on this because it is okay to have a sip and sample and expect people to come to you. All right, but your expectation is that you're expecting them to come. How dare they not come? They should totally be coming. They should drive an hour. I don't want to hear about why, they shouldn't be driving an hour, why they think that should be bad. Do they understand how much I'm going out of my way and my family's doing this, and adjusting our lives to do this sip and sample? That's more of a self. That's more on the self side of this leadership. Right now, if we go up the scale, we'll go ahead and not have any expectations on others. We're just hoping that we're setting up this sip and sample, and it's a blessing for me to make sacrifices during my day so that the house looks right and so that everything's set up just perfect and the amount of time that I put into the presentation that I'm going to do. It should just be a blessing with no expectations on what other people are going to think, who's going to show up. You're just going to let the cards fall where they do, and you look at it as a blessing that you get to serve other people and make these sacrifices. Now, we could take that even a step further. Instead of saying, well, they have to come to my house because I'm going to make all these sacrifices and feel good about it, I could drive to somebody else's house and do a presentation just for them. And I could ask them to invite some people, but if they don't invite anybody, that's okay, because I'm going to go make a difference in that one person's life. And the fact that I'm going to drive 3 hours one way to go do that, I have no expectations. I just know that I have the opportunity right now. I know what the possibilities are for that person because they're willing to let me come into their home. And I'm going to drive 3 hours without even saying to anybody, I drove 3 hours to get there. That's not even in their frame of conversation. They just get to go do it because they know that they have the possibility of impacting somebody else's life. And if nobody else shows up but that one person that owns the house, You're still happy and grateful you were able to go. On the way home, you're not complaining, thinking, man, I for sure thought that they were going to have more people. What a waste of my time. In fact, they didn't even fill out the application. Do you see the differences, how we can grow and what our perspectives are on getting to that place, on why we do things and how we can inspire people and the power that we can have as we move up with that type of attitude? Okay, so just drawing some contrast there. There are some people who are at the lower level of this Title I on the scale where they wouldn't even think about driving 3 hours, let alone a half hour to somebody's house. Maybe if they had 10 people for sure that were going to be there, I might drive a half hour. Do you know what the price of gas is and how much gas I'm going to have to spend to go a half hour away? Do you see the difference in philosophy? The difference in the way that that person is talking and imaging things and how that's creating different feelings? And remember, feeling is the secret. It really comes back with everything to the feelings and the attitudes that I have within me. So there's going to be a difference in the results in those feelings and those attitudes and in those leadership styles. Okay? Makes sense? So now, on level 2 relationships, and the money and all of that is an unknown factor right here. In fact, we can put an infinity sign right there on the Title 1 or the level 1 title leadership. We could put the infinity sign because it's an unknown. There's infinite ways of loving and serving, and there's infinite ways of being a jerk and being authoritative and convincing people and manipulating. There's just infinite ways to be able to represent those types of leadership styles. So the income amount is really unknown. What we'll do is we'll put the income amounts with these here, the relationships and the production. So on level 2, with relationships, I'm going to put that with inspiring health, inspiring other people to get on the products. Or am I down on the convincing level and the manipulation level where people feel that you're really not listening to them, so you're not ringing a bell, they're not resonating with what you're saying because your way of articulating and getting the message across is not resonating with them. It's not a good leadership style. So you could have 0 cycles. And remember, a cycle is a commission that we make. So we'll get into compensation plan on other stuff. In fact, probably the next one, because that has a lot to do with production. So 1 cycle is $54, right? So if I would say getting up that scale, moving towards the 5 with relationships, where you're just inspiring people to get on the products and you're doing a great job. Let's just say 50% of the people that you talk to or more are getting on the products. Let's even take it higher. Let's say 80% of the people, 90% of the people that you talk to, 9 out of 10 people are getting on the system. And you're getting them to use the products, and the majority of those are staying on auto ship. They've now made Isogenics a lifestyle because you did such an incredible job of inspiring them on showing them what the problems are with our food today, the toxicity, and how Isogenics is the perfect answer. It's the perfect equalizer to allowing you to live your life to the fullest, right? And not depriving yourself, and you're not on a diet. So you do an incredible job of inspiring people, and now they get on the products, they have the experience, they've been educated, so they're not going to get off the products. They understand. I would say 39 cycles a week. You could get up to 39 cycles a week. So I'm using these as an example. It's not a black and white and it's an absolute, but I want to draw a contrast here as to how we progress into getting the bigger incomes. So there is some truth in the principle of what I'm saying here with using the cycles. So that's just below 3-star. 3-star executive or 3-star rank of 3-star in Isogenics is 40 cycles a week. That would be $2,000 a week, $8,000 a month. That's a 6-figure income. So I would say you would be right about there. You would be just on the cusp of breaking that 6-figure income if your ability moves up towards that 5 in inspiring people to help. So your ability to communicate the problems and the solution, and they really get it, to where they're staying on the products. And we all know that we can improve our ability to do that. So as we improve that ability, we go up the scale. So I would 39 cycles would be like $2,106. That's 54 times 39. So that's right at that 6-figure income. All right, so now I would say, how could we get to that income and why does it stop there? So the reason it would stop there is if you're on the low level scale of level 3 production leader. And production is where you're getting other people to produce. And your ability to get people to join your business with you because they understand the business model is at a level 1. So kind of like the person who's at a level 1 in explaining the products and trying to convince people to get on them rather than inspire is going to be the same problem you have with the compensation plan. You're trying to convince people, I need you on my business. You know, I have these goals I want to accomplish and I can't do it without you. Okay, you're not up at the higher level of helping people to understand the business model and what it will do for them and explaining all the dynamics so that they can see very clearly that their job is part of the problem, trading time for money, and you understand those principles that Robert Kiyosaki teaches, Paul Zane Pilzer, and you can teach them how they can overcome those challenges. And during their part-time, while they're working their full-time job, they can start creating their part-time wealth. And their part-time wealth, working on it part-time, will eventually pass up their full-time income. And now they have freedom. Your ability to explain that and inspire them is at a level 1, so you're not getting people to join your business. But you're getting all kinds of people on the products. So why you could get up to, let's say, right at that 6-figure income as somebody who's inspiring with health but not wealth is because you have a lot of walking billboards out there now. People who are excited about how they feel. And so they're referring people to you because you weren't able to train them and inspire them as their leader on how to take control of this business and start building a business and start to replicate and duplicate what you're doing, which is where the bigger money comes in. That's production, where you get other people to duplicate what you're doing. But because you have not figured out the compensation plan and how to inspire people on how the Isogenics business model could help them live their dream life and how they work towards that and what are the actions they take, even though you're doing the actions, you're not able to communicate that to them for a lot of reasons. You could have problems with wealth. You could have problems talking about money. Or you could just not really realize what you're doing and you can't teach the principles. That's why you got to read the books like Robert Kiyosaki, Don Fala's The 45-Second Presentation That Will Change Your Life. As you start to internalize those principles on the compensation plan and how to explain that to other people, then you would start having people join your business. And instead of just referring people to you, now they're explaining to people. They're motivated and they understand why they're going to talk about the products and learn about the products and what the problems are and what the solutions are with their friends. And they're going to start duplicating what you're doing. Once you start getting into the production level at the low end, let's say, going into a 1.5, a 2, 40 cycles a week, you're going to crest that 39 cycles a week. So you're looking at $2,160 all the way up to $8,046 a week. That's a week, you guys, not a month, not a year, $8,000 a week. Production is where the huge money comes in. That's where you go to the right side of the quadrant with Robert Kiyosaki because you have other people producing and duplicating and replicating. We say duplicate or die. It's teach and be a leader or die because these people that you're bringing in, they may be at the lower levels, right? And I would say through the law of attraction, like attracts like. So if you haven't figured out how to facilitate and articulate all of the things about wealth and how to create it and what the problems are, the people you're attracting into your life probably aren't either. And you may say, well, somebody in my upline could enroll them. It's not typically how it works. Like I said in the other presentations, nature always finds a way to bless people in your downline that do get in your downline that are at these higher levels, but your income's not going up. It just always finds a way. And I had a conversation with somebody the other day that said, yeah, I've noticed that. It's pretty interesting to see how that works. So level 2, up to $2,000 a week because you have a lot of walking billboards out there and you can inspire their friends to get on the product. Now you have just more and more people getting on auto ship. And so those auto ships are building up month after month. They're compounding. And through that compounding process, more and more auto ships are going out every night at 12 o'clock at night because you've been enrolling a lot of people who stay on the products. And there's going to be some people, they do get to consultant, but they're not really building the business, right? They're not really duplicating you. They just kind of do it when it's convenient. You know, you showed them how they could get their products paid for, but they're distracted by other things because you don't really have their attention, because you didn't inspire them that those things that are distracting you are not as good an option as what is in your lap right now. It's called isogenics, and they pay you 6% on unlimited depth, right? That's not enough to inspire people, though. You have to truly inspire them through teaching them the principles. The principles are what will change behavior. You don't change behavior by telling them what they need to do to change their behavior. You get people to change their behavior by teaching them the principles. That's leadership. That's true leadership. Developing the individual so they internalize things differently. Now they change their own behavior. You don't change behavior by talking about behavior, about different strategies of what they can be doing down here. The strategies that you can be doing don't change the behavior. And a lot of times they'll maintain the behavior and do those strategies, and they hit these roadblocks. And so they can't get past them. They don't know how to behave and internalize those things. So this is an awesome thing as a leader, is to move people forward. But who has to move forward first? You do. And then you'll start to attract the people who want to be moved forward. And as you get to a 6, you start attracting level 6 people in your life. Birds of a feather flock together. They resonate with you. So it's paramount that you're moving forward so that your business can move forward. It's a really cool principle when you start to understand these things. All right, now, so I want to get down to level 4 and level 5. I don't want to go into them a lot, but I want to show you a cool shift that really happens. And that I think Isogenics is attracting people who have level 4 qualities. And John Maxwell says there's very few leaders in the world that get to level 4, and even fewer that get to level 5. But I believe that Isogenics is attracting the best of the best. And what do I mean by that? I believe that a lot of people are at level 4 at a pretty high level, at least halfway or more. But their abilities to lead a business and their leadership abilities could be at a 1, right, in any of these categories. But what does a level 4 leader do? Why do I say that Isogenics is attracting a lot of level 4 leaders? If they're level 4 leaders, why are they not making more money? Here's the difference. On the low side, we're always thinking about self. What's in it for me in each of these categories? If I want to increase my wealth, on the low level, I'm thinking about myself. When I'm thinking about the products, there's still a selfish reason, not as selfish in a bad way. You want to move your life forward, but your ability to communicate that is still down at the lower end. So self, others, self, others, self, others. What happens on level 4 is it shifts. It goes from others to self. People are putting others before themselves. When they get into Isogenics and they have this experience, they immediately start thinking about other people and what this could do for them. And that becomes their main motivating drive. And it's because they're at a high level. Again, everybody in the world doesn't think that way, but Isogenics is attracting people like that because it comes from the top down, right? And that's how Jim and Kathy, John Anderson, they wanted to bless other people's lives. That's the whole reason this company came into being. And I call it a divinely inspired company because of the desires of Jim and Kathy and John. Their desires were nothing more than to bless other people's lives because they saw the contrast of what they didn't like, and they wanted to have other people not have to experience those things that they didn't like. They wanted to have other people experience all the abundance and health and prosperity. So we're attracting people who in their heart want to bless other people's lives. And you go to a company event, it's always, I want to impact other people's lives. I want to help other people. But when it comes to their leadership ability in building a business and actually inspiring other people so that they can be that catalyst to help them, they need to improve. That's why we have the Isogenics University. That's why we have the University in Actions. That's why we have Super Saturdays. That's why we have things like this that I'm doing right here. People in Isogenics want to help other people. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm thinking about others and I want them to experience these awesome things in their life with no expectation of who's going to do that and what am I going to get out of it. and all of that. None of that motivates a high level 4 person. It's always about the other person first. Now, here's a thing that we do know. The more you serve other people, the more it comes back to you. So people up here have it wrong. They're thinking about themselves and they're wanting to get. But what if they understood the true principles of success and abundance and impact, they would know that it's others first is who I serve and then I receive. It's first giving and then I receive. What am I giving? I'm not giving money to people. I'm giving value to people. And that's what people experience in Isogenics. I have this value to offer to other people. So they are in line with one of the biggest laws, the law of compensation, for you to have all the things that you want in your life as far as resources and vacations and enjoying nice things, the law of compensation. And it helps facilitate the law of progress. Right now, because the compensation that I receive, I'm able to impact this kind of progress in the world through making a video like this and having this thing here. This wasn't cheap. This camera, this whole setup in this room wasn't cheap, but it facilitates the progress. So again, the more I can add value in other people's lives, the more I receive. But that's doing it God's way. You're adding value into other people's lives first, and that becomes a priority. We are attracting people who want to do that, because they feel the impact in their lives through the products, so it's a high level of integrity. They know they're going to add value to other people's lives if they can just get them to put them in these products. But they're at a low level 1 in their leadership ability, and so they're having a hard time, yet they want to, right? And so how much more need for something like this that's going to teach you, here's how you do it. You don't get into just action, because you're doing those actions at a low level. You need to understand the principles so you can do those actions at a high level. And now all of the right things start showing up, those divine connections. Level 5, so I would say level 4, so let's just go back to the income on this. That would be a 3-star. That would be a 3-star in Isogenics, all the way up to almost 6-star. So 5-star is 100 cycles to 149 cycles a week. Excuse me. So that would be up to $2,160 a week, up to $8,046 a week. So production is huge money, because through the production of Isogenics, what we're really talking about is leverage, other people doing work and building their business. They're replicating, duplicate or die. Duplicate, or you don't reach production. You don't reach these incomes. So that's why you can make the big incomes, because you're instituting the principle of leverage in bringing income back to you, right? So up to almost 6-star. So 6-star would be 150 cycles, which would be $8,100 a week, all the way up to a maxed out center, which is $13,500 a week. And again, this is not a guaranteed or fixed income. These are based on my opinions and teaching the contrast and trying to help get the principles across. So again, I'm not guaranteeing you anything. That's the being compliant. There's my compliance statement. All right, so up to $13,500 a week, because this is now really, you're driven by people development. You want to see other people succeed. So not only are you teaching them, you're playing at a high level as a level 4 leader of improving yourself. In fact, that's probably a level 4 leader's number 1 priority, is making sure that I'm still growing and not dictating to people what they need to do and driving with the whip from the back, but leading out front. And personal development really becomes an integral part, a habitual part of a level 4 leader's life. They're doing the internal work constantly, so they don't backslide. You don't forget, your mind's not a memory bank, it's a workshop. And if you're not constantly working on yourself and feeding with good, then what happens is some of the bad starts to come in and it starts to influence us and we'll backslide. So a level 4 leader, which again, there's very few of them, but we're going to create a lot of them in Isogenics, where they're clicking all along in every category of leadership. Level 5 is there's just no finish line. You found your destiny. You found the vehicle. You found the way that you are just going to keep changing life after life, which means you're going to max out center after center after center. So not only are you going to hit 13,500, you're going to do it again in your re-entry, and you're going to do it again in your re-entry, 27,000 a week, and just keep growing your income by continuing to change people's lives. There's no finish line. It's your destiny. All right, so this is really cool. I love this. All right, so hopefully that helps to instill into you why we're talking about the things that we're talking about and why it's so important to learn these principles of leadership, because they move us forward. Again, not just learning them, internalizing them, see the error in our actions, and again, it's going to go back mostly to what's going on in your head, which is going to dictate feelings, which is going to dictate actions, which is going to dictate habits, which is going to dictate results, which is going to dictate your life and your destiny, right? So if we can change those thoughts and that domino effect, we change the destiny, right? And so we want to have that quantum leap. We want to change the concept of ourselves. Without dying, we want to do it on purpose and intentionally. All right, so now as we go over here, so that was point number 4 with those, or wait, no, that was point number 3, I think. Let's see. This is point number 4, and then there's one more after that. So we'll just kind of scroll through these right here. How can I start to internalize some of these principles at my own rate? Like if I want to go slow, medium, fast, or faster, how can I start to do some of these things on my own as I'm watching the modules, as I'm working with my team, as I'm practicing putting things into action, as I'm practicing being that leader? For leadership, I would say The 5 Levels of Leadership by John Maxwell. Where did my book go? I had it in here. Must have pulled it in the other room. The 5 Levels of Leadership by John Maxwell, and his other books as well. I know the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. That was another one that I read. Here's one that's going to be more about the internalization of who you are as a spiritual being and the possibilities that lie within you, and how do you bring those into fruition. Bob Proctor's been a great mentor for me, and he wrote a book called You Were Born Rich, meaning you have all of these possibilities to make these quantum leaps. And he talks about that inner work that we do. So Bob Proctor, You Were Born Rich, The 5 Levels of Leadership. I mean, there's others as well, but I would learn these and make sure your income's going up before you start jumping to other books, because all you're doing now is learning, but you're not changing. Until you're utilizing and facilitating the principles that these books are teaching you, and your actions are now being incorporated with what they're teaching you in these books in your daily activities, why go on to the next book? These books are like, they're enough to get you to start going up that scale, which is going to cause your cycles to go up. So don't be somebody who hurries through a book just to read another book. Your cycle should be going up. With those 2 books, add the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, and for sure, your cycles will be going up. So make sure that you're internalizing them and you're making the changes in your life. Don't be a pretender. Yeah, I read the book and now I'm reading the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. 5 days later, I finished that book, right? And you're not changing. Yeah, you could get through the book quickly if you're implementing and putting the actions quickly into your life, like just going for it. But make sure that you're doing the work that the principles teach you to do. When it comes to, so that's with leadership, that would be that first level where we're at title, going from convincing to inspiring people. Now, when it comes to the health and really being able to inspire people to get on the products and stay on the products, there's several dynamics that I've found that have been effective for me to have more people staying on AutoShip. And that's how much I give them up front, and what I give them up front, and how I give that information across. So there's a few major things here, a few key points. What are the problems? Why are they the problems? And what is the solution? And how can it be the solution? Why is it the solution? Okay, what and why is it the solution? The better you get at putting that information together, and the more you're on that higher level of leadership, doing it for others, the more time you'll spend on gathering the information and putting it together. So if you feel like you're somebody that really wants to impact other people, let's see you put your money where your mouth is. Because somebody who really does want to impact other people's lives and serve other people is somebody who would take the time to improve themselves, read the books, and put that information together in a way that it will inspire other people. And it just won't end. You'll just continually want to refine that. So Do you really want to serve other people? Let's see you put your money where your mouth is. Let's have you watch Food Matters. These are all videos, documentaries. Food Matters, Food Inc., King Corn. And then not just knowing that for yourself, but being able to facilitate that into other people. Here's why the problems are. Here's what the problems are. And what's going to drive you to do that is you want to make an impact on other people. So you're willing to do the work that you need to do to impact other people's lives. That's a high level of leadership. And again, I believe we're attracting a lot of people. We just need to know that we need to realize and draw the contrast. Why am I procrastinating this stuff? Why am I putting it off? And when we can start to realize the correlation between, I really do love people, and he's right, I've not been doing that, but now I realize that is how I serve other people, is by getting this information and putting it together so that I can inspire them so that they make a life change with these products, right? Once you start making that correlation, you start doing the work. This is the compounding effect that I'm talking about, right? Where one action, one efficient action builds on the last. And you're not leaving anything behind. It just continues to be a circle that expands and gets bigger and bigger, like we talked about in the other module. All right, so I would say at least those right there, those three. I wouldn't get too much into watching so many of them that you get caught up into preparing to prepare. Those three right there are enough. Some of them get a little fanatical that are out there, right? They make people feel guilty about certain things when they shouldn't be feeling guilty about certain things that they have an agenda around. I would say these three do a pretty good job right here of teaching you what you need to know so that you can pass that on to other people. And then also, you're also going to learn more about isogenics. You're going to go to the events. You're going to listen to the science talks. You're going to listen to the audios, the podcasts that talk about the different products and why they're the perfect solution, right? So on that one, I just showed you what the problems are. With isogenics, it's a built-in university. There are so many people that have put things out there for you to learn from. Just go on YouTube and type in isogenic shakes, what's awesome about them. And go listen to Dr. Michael Colgan. Listen to Susan Sly on the podcast and some of these people who really teach you the science behind these products. All right, when it comes to wealth and incorporating some of these principles, there's a couple books here. The 45-second napkin presentation that will change your life. I would say that's the number one. I should have been promoting that book way back when I started talking about books. I did say it in one of the modules, but really that one right there, that's Jimmy Smith, the number one all-time income earner, him saying, teach the power of two. And our 100 BV is our number one product in isogenics, 100 BV. Well, it's not a product. That's business volume. Why is that the number one product in isogenics? Because it's the doorway to your dreams and your freedom, both physically and financially. And this will help you to incorporate what Jimmy's saying on a principle level. And it's going to help you to understand it, but the book not only helps you to understand it, at the same time, it's showing you how to teach it to other people in a very simple format. My presentations on the compensation plan are based around this. And this is how I inspire people to see the dreams that they're now a reality and why what they're currently doing isn't going to work. No matter how hard and how long they work that job, it's not going to get there. And I can express that through a presentation in a way that they get it. It makes sense to them. And so now they're internalizing it right there in that presentation. And then I show them how they can get their dreams by getting on the right side of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, big business. And they internalize it right there in the presentation because I've become very good at inspiring people to be able to do that, right? So the 45-second napkin presentation that will change your life by Don Fela. Also, the business school for people who like helping people by Robert Kiyosaki. Okay, there's another one. This is a PDF. You can go onto Google and just print this page. It's like 7 or 8 pages. I would read it. It's by Paul Zane Pilzer. Just Google the perfect storm of opportunity. Type in PDF. It'll come up. You can print it right there or read it on your computer. I would print it and you're highlighting things, you're writing things, and you're identifying things that are ahas to you. Those ahas are the things you want to be teaching to other people. Because those ahas that you're having are more than likely the same ahas that other people will have when you get that information across to them enough where they haven't read the book, but you can communicate it to them. And then for them to become a leader, they're going to have to go read the book, right? And get all of the ahas that the book has to offer. and address things that didn't need to be addressed for you. But in the book, there are things that are going to address things for them that were different than you. All right, and then I would listen to this audio. I just go to iTunes or, get the audio book, Building Your Network Marketing Business by Jim Rohn. One of my favorite all-time audios. Building Your Network Marketing Business by Jim Rohn. One other that I'll throw out there that I wasn't thinking of, but it's going to have to do with all of these, is to do with the mental, like Feeling is the Secret. It's by Neville Goddard. And that's an audio book as well. You can get the book. It's also an audio book. It's on YouTube. But Feeling is the Secret. I would get the audio book or the book and really digest that book and take it in. Feeling is the Secret. That's how you make the quantum leap, right? That's how you change the concept of yourself, is through your feelings and how to generate those feelings. Now, I think there's one more thing here, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Yes, the protocol, the call to action. All right. So now that we're working on ourselves, we're developing ourselves as a leader, we want to work together as a team and earn while we learn. That's the cool thing about this business, is you can start making income as you're working with your team and you're developing yourself. So the call to action is identify the upline leader, somebody that's modeling for you the actions and the behaviors and the thinking processes. Identify somebody in your upline that is tied to you. This is the best way. It's not the only way, but this is the best way. Somebody who's in your upline who's financially linked to you, and they want to help you succeed. Now, what I find in Isagenix is that across the board, throughout the entire company, there's a lot of leaders that are great models. They're great role models for us to model, to mimic, and to learn from. And so many of them are putting everything out there for you to be able to model and learn from. But you really need somebody that's going to be doing the three-way calls with you and helping you in these calls to action. So you want to identify somebody in your upline. And if it's not the person that enrolled you, just keep asking questions. Find out. Keep asking people, how do I find out who, like, take me to your leader, right? And find out who that is, because there's always somebody in the upline that's going to want to help you that has already implemented all of these things in a way that they have the success, right? So identify upline leader, somebody that and what the upline leader is going to do is they're going to be on three-way phone calls with you. They're going to be helping to talk to the people you're connecting with. And as you do a three-way call, I've had people who have given me people's numbers and said, will you call them and tell them everything about Isagenix? And I'm like, I will not do that. I will, however, get on the phone and have you introduce me to them, and then you listen to what I'm saying to them. Once you introduce me, you zip your lips and you listen how I'm going to role model the conversation and the direction that you take it into, how you build relationships of trust, how you explain the problems, how you explain the solutions, and how you move that person forward. That's going to be the modeling that you can learn while you earn. So when you're introducing somebody, it's like Malcolm says, you might as well introduce me to, I'm going to talk to somebody, they might as well be your people. If you're not going to introduce your people to me, then I'll just go find my own people that I'm going to do this with, and I'll move them forward. But if I'm going to talk to somebody, it might as well be yours. Let's build your business. And it's this two-way thing that really becomes a great synergy. You're introducing people, and Malcolm gets to do what he loves doing, move people's lives forward with the knowledge that he has and the skills. So that's the way it is. The three-way call changes it all. And I've worked with people who have had no upline support. They don't know that the three-way call is essential and it's critical to learning what you need to learn to be able to earn. And so you're only going to get so far in those levels of leadership that you've developed yourself to. And you're going to come to a place where you get stuck. For some people, very quickly. For some people, it might be a little further down the road, but they're going to get stuck short of where they really want to be. The three-way call changes it all. In Don Fela's book, he says 100% of people that are not in network marketing don't understand it. And 90% of people that are in network marketing don't understand it. Why? Because they haven't had that modeling, they haven't had that leader to help guide and direct them. Jim Rohn, who's one of the greatest networkers of all time, it was Mr. Shoup. He calls him Mr. Shoup. Mr. Shoup is the one who mentored him. It's the one that helped Jim Rohn integrate the principles. Jim Rohn would not be who he is, or who he just passed recently, but he would not have become who he became without the mentor and guidance of Mr. Shoup. And it's that way for everybody. I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have the upline mentorship that I did when I got into Isagenix. There's no way I'd be where I am today. So you want to identify who that upline leader is so that they can help you learn while you earn, and they're helping you learn the correct principles. 2 looks a day. So you're going to use the tool of your choice. You're going to get at least 2 people a day. If you want to go fast, 2 people a day. You can do more. When I was told 2 people a day, I said, well, if 2 people a day is going to get me there, then I'm going to go 4 people a day because I want to get there faster. And you use your tool of choice. You send them a video. You have learned a certain pitch that you give to somebody. You could be the tool. In just that beginning, getting them to take a look. Getting people to look at something. And then you pre-qualify them. And then through that pre-qualifying, you're going to set the appointment to introduce them to your upline leader. The person who knows how to answer their questions. And even if you know how to answer the questions, this is where a lot of people make the mistake. They know how to answer the questions, so they never rely on the upline leader. What does that do for the person who comes in? That person that just signed up through that person says, I could never do what that person did, therefore I'm not going to do any phone calls with my friends. I'll just refer them to my upline leader, right? And then you'll never get any duplication. You want them to know that they can introduce their friends to the person who introduced the upline leader to them. So it's this whole domino effect. And so if you're doing it all on your own, your business is stuck. You can only go so far. You could be the greatest in the world, but you're going to go nowhere in this business because you're not going to get that level 3 production. So the 3-way call for so many reasons. So you're going to pre-qualify them. I don't allow people to say, hey Dave, get on the phone with this person, tell them about Isagenix, and convince them why they should be on it. I want somebody who's pre-qualified, at least looked at a tool, and this is the follow-up now. Okay, so that's the process. Malcolm would send a 4-minute video and send that video, or a 15-minute video, or a favorite video on how he likes to get people to take a look, and then on the follow-up, he sets the appointment and he lets me know and he lets the person know that we're going to be getting together on a 3-way call. And then what I do is I build a relationship of trust with that person by asking awesome questions. Find out questions where I'm really building a relationship of trust and I'm listening. How do they know I'm listening? Because of how I respond. I don't have an agenda. I've learned to listen, and I have enough information to be able to respond without having an agenda, to have a response that meets their needs. Now they're being introduced to the solution. They feel a relationship of trust. I've connected and articulated to them effectively. And now they're in. It's a yes. Now, what I know as the upline leader, this person's going to enroll. We get the enrollment process. So what I'll say, I'll jump off the phone. That person will be enrolled. But before I jump off the phone, I'm going to set up the next appointment. And for me, that's typically going to be a Zoom because I want to start getting into training at that point. I'm going to ask some great questions. I'm going to find out some things about them. If health is their only desire and that's it, they're not interested in a business, then I'm not going to push the business side. We know that could always come later. I'm going to help them to have this great experience, but I will always plant a seed without being offensive. Now, a low-level leader on level 2 or 3 production is going to try and convince that person. And when they plant a seed, it's going to be resistance to how they're planting that seed. But a high on the scale of 1 to 5, somebody that's on the higher end at a level 3 production is going to plant that seed perfectly, right? Because of their ability to do that and the skills and the things that they've learned. So there's going to be a follow-up, and identify appropriate follow-up. As the leader on the 3-way call, who's the upline modeling leader that's tied to you financially. I want everybody to succeed. And so, again, this is the protocol. Things don't happen for you, they happen with you. You're in business really for yourself, but not by yourself. We're going to move together as a team. We're going to create this incredible synergy. So there's the overview of everything. We can shrink all this down, bring it over. Here's all the things we talked about. The celebrating, moving yourself forward, that's the number one priority throughout all of this, all of the time. The different levels of leadership, what motivates us, how we can aspire higher so that we can inspire. Going over to how do I internalize more principles so that I can understand things on a deeper level and not have to wait for somebody to teach me. I can crack open a book anytime I want and internalize those as fast as I want. And then the call to action. And what I'll do on the next module is use the numbers and show you how long people have been in Isogenics, how many people they talked to, how many people they enrolled, how many of those did the business, how much income they made every month, and how many people are on their team. It's an incredible eye-opening training that I'll do next. I'll probably call it Leadership Overview number 2, and it will really set the mindset up for this whole protocol right here. You're not going to talk to two people and create that dream life that you want. And so I call it realistic expectations and the work that's going to be required of you to do through this protocol right here. And when you understand that, now it's just a decision. You can step into that and have the courage to step into it, or you can come up with excuses, be a pretender, be a rut dweller, be an overachiever, whatever the case might be. But the clearer we make this, the more definitive are going to be your decisions to move forward or not, and we'll support you wherever you're at. Okay, I ended the video, but I'm inserting this into it. There's something that I wanted to say that after I had finished, I felt like there needs to be more emphasis on this whole thing right here and how it pertains to you as an individual and as a leader. It's the amount of work and effort that you put into this that's going to determine your results. So playing life at a high level of excellence. You're going to understand more of this and just be implementing it and facilitating it the more that you exhaust these resources. The books and the audios, and then as you're integrating and internalizing the principles you're learning in those, these automatically go forward. So it's your commitment to excellence to really internalize newer principles. And you guys, you were born to do this. Now, yes, as you make the decision to do it, it's not going to be easy. Right now, you're in the inception stage, and you're like, I'm totally going to do this. But when you come up against the habits that are going to need to change, and the mental behavior and the feelings that are created habitually, when you come up against those, it's going to be like hitting a wall in that moment. And it's then that you just really got to dig deep and realize that this is what you were born to do. You were born to progress and go forward and to be more for yourself and more for the world. But again, the emphasis is that you might be walking away wondering, I still don't really get it. I get the protocols, I get the actions, but it's not until you start moving forward in these because of your commitment to excellence to digest and internalize the information. And you can do that as fast as you want. You can go slow, medium, you can go not at all. You don't even have to buy the books. But if you're committed to excellence, and the more you put into those, waking up earlier in the morning and just really like doing what it takes, doing the work, that's the commitment that has to go into all this. So as you do this, you will start to see the results change, and you really won't even be able to put a finger on it because it happens so incrementally on such small little levels as you pick up a thing here and you pick up a thing there, and as you're listening to phone calls and as you're picking up the phone to call people. It's going to happen so slightly, but as you continue to be committed to this overall picture, this overall system, I guess you could call it, the whole protocol, as you commit to that on a high level of excellence, you're going to move forward internally. And you're going to start to do things and behave differently. But it'll be so slight, but you're going to actually be moving up, which you're going to see your cycles moving up. And just know that it didn't happen by chance. It didn't happen that you just all of a sudden got lucky. It's you're creating that luck through the things that you're doing. You're creating the opportunities. And so, again, I just wanted to make that emphasis on the whole thing. It's your commitment to all of this. I made a note. Let me just make sure I'm getting it all in. So as you're going through this, it's going to create dissonance in your life. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to be able to really study the categories of deception that Rod Harrison talks about in the Healthy Mind and Body program. And you should be in that program because it's going to help you to identify that behavior that doesn't serve you when it doesn't feel comfortable and you're feeling that dissonance that you're bringing on. You got to know how to work through that. Otherwise, that deception is going to keep you where you're at and you're going to stay stuck because you're not going to continue on with excellence and grow and go forward. All right, so let me just make sure I got everything. The alternative to you taking on that pain is living the pain of settling, living the pain of an unfulfilled life, living the pain at the end of your life for the regrets that you didn't have, or for the regrets that you didn't take the opportunity and the chances that were there for you to move your life forward. Again, choose your hard. It's hard to take all of this on, but it's doable. But on the other side, it feels amazing, and it's the reason why you were born. To have regrets and not take this on and move forward, and to settle and to be resolved to mediocrity, that's a pain that there is no good to the other side of that. And in some videos that I've seen where they've done studies and people asking, what's the biggest regrets they have as they're just about to die, it's not the things they did, it's the things they didn't do. And so again, just knowing all of this is part of that self-talk that'll level, getting to the scale 3, 4, and 5 up on the higher scale. This is the kind of talk that somebody comes up from within themselves to push them through those times when you have that dissonance, when it's hard, when it seems challenging, when it seems like you're right up against that wall and you don't even know how you're going to get through it. They still have this kind of self-motivating talk that gets them to wake up early and still read the books and still listen to the audios and still make the phone calls and keep pushing themselves forward. And so, right now I'm being that voice for you, but you've got to make the decision that you're going to do it. And this community helps us by helping us to stay plugged in. But again, this is it right here. So I just wanted to add that little extra emphasis on this whole overall picture, because you might be saying, I still don't really get it. I still don't quite understand. But as I've been going over this with one of the associates in my organization that I identified, she expressed, yeah, it might not be making sense to you guys right now, but if you just keep going and you keep doing, you keep showing up, all of a sudden it comes together. And this person, in just a matter of less than, I would say, 2 weeks of doing the modules and checking in on this stuff and getting, their mind right and doing the things, they did something already that they weren't doing for the last 3 years. And I know that that person is going to start going up in this production level, going to start moving forward. There's no question, because they're doing the work. They're doing whatever it takes, and they're pushing through because they see the goal. They're not questioning themselves. They know this is the vehicle, and they know that it's challenging for them, but they see the mark and they just go. They just do it. They're not questioning themselves, and they're doing what they need to do. And this whole thing is now starting to form a philosophy that's going to start to guide their actions and their behaviors on a day-to-day basis, by minute, hour by hour, and they'll be doing efficient acts that are compounding on top of each other. And all of this will be something that they're now teaching because they totally get it and they're totally living it. So, okay, there you go. See you on the next module.